ties that bind. Cynthia moved into Lily's apartment when she was 8 months pregnant, her body heavy with the weight of the baby growing inside her. She had nowhere else to go. Her small apartment had become too much of a strain, both financially and emotionally. She couldn't keep up with the bills and the looming reality of motherhood on her own. Lily had always been there for her, from the moment she'd found out about the pregnancy to the long nights of worrying over the unknowns of becoming a mother. The two had been best friends since childhood, and Lily had supported her through everything. She'd even offered to help her through the last trimester, promising to take care of Cynthia in any way she could. The apartment was small but cozy, a place of refuge for Cynthia. Lily had always dreamed of being a mother, but her own health had made that impossible. She couldn't carry a baby, her body not capable of the changes pregnancy demanded, but she still longed for it, as if she were meant for motherhood. Every day, Lily would help Cynthia with the smallest tasks, cooking, cleaning, even putting on her shoes, when Cynthia's belly grew too round to bend over. It was a strange, bittersweet tenderness. Lily was excited about the baby, asking constantly if she could feel it kick, if she could press her hand against Cynthia's belly. "You can feel the baby move now," Cynthia would say, with a soft smile, her swollen belly an undeniable reminder of what was to come. It wasn't a coincidence that Lily would be there at those moments, her hands gently resting against the rounded flesh. Cynthia would see the way Lily's face softened as the baby kicked, her eyes glistening with something unreadable, a longing that seemed so deep and unspoken. Days passed in a blur of preparing for summer's arrival. When the baby came, Lily offered Cynthia to stay a bit longer until she could figure out her next move and continue to support her, more than anyone had before. In the early days, Lily had been a constant help, changing diapers, bringing Cynthia water, sitting with her during the endless nights of feeding and rocking Summer to sleep. Cynthia knew that Lily was grateful to be able to care for the child she couldn't have, a child Cynthia had brought into the world. But as the days stretched on, Cynthia began to feel something shift between them. At first, it was subtle. The way Lily would always rush to take Summer from her arms even when she didn't ask. Lily would spend hours with the baby, talking softly to her, whispering sweet nothings into her tiny ears. Every time Summer would wake from a nap, Lily was there, feeding her, changing her, and cooing over her as though Summer belonged to her. Cynthia didn't know what to make of it. She felt a tight knot in her chest every time it happened, but she couldn't bring herself to voice her discomfort. Lily had done so much for her these last few weeks, but over time, it became harder to ignore the tension. Lily seemed to be doing everything for Summer. She'd pick the baby up when she cried, rock her in her arms, even lull her to sleep with gentle songs. There was a possessiveness in her actions that Cynthia couldn't ignore, even if Lily never said anything outright. And the worst part, Cynthia felt guilty. Lily had been a great help, hadn't she? She had supported Cynthia in ways that no one else had. She was just being kind, wasn't she? But the nagging thoughts wouldn't go away. The constant reminder that Lily wasn't just helping. She was taking over. One afternoon, as Cynthia prepared to head to the store for a few necessities, she stood by the crib, her hand hovering over Summer's sleeping form. The baby had finally nodded off, and for the first time in weeks, Cynthia felt a flicker of hope that she could have a moment to herself. "I'm going to head to the store," Cynthia said softly, turning to Lily, who was sitting on the couch nearby, watching them both. "Do you mind watching her for a bit?" Lily's face lit up with an almost unnatural enthusiasm. Of course I can watch her. She's my little love. Cynthia's chest tightened at the way Lily smiled. She felt uncomfortable, but the weight of the situation pushed her to agree. Okay, I'll be gone just for a bit. She will be fine, Lily promised, her voice too sweet, too assuring. Still, Cynthia felt a pit of unease settle deep in her stomach. It didn't feel right, but she told herself it would be okay. Lily was her best friend. She had supported her through everything, and this was no different. It was just a few moments to herself, a breath of relief. But as she stepped out of the apartment, the door clicking behind her, she couldn't shake the sensation that she was leaving behind more than just her baby. Cynthia hurried through the aisles of the store, trying to distract herself with the mundane act of picking out baby formula and diapers. But her mind kept wandering back to the apartment. The thought of Lily taking care of Summer with such intimacy made her feel like Lily was taking over. She was the mother. She was the one who should be doing all of that, not Lily. Her hands trembled as she selected the items she needed, trying to ignore the overwhelming feeling of dread creeping up her spine. When Cynthia finally returned home, the silence hit her first. It was far too quiet, the kind of silence that made you uneasy. "Lily," Cynthia called, her voice tentative, but there was no answer. A flicker of panic rose in her chest. She walked toward the nursery, but the room was empty. No baby. She rushed to the living room, her breath coming faster, her heart pounding. Lily's purse was gone. The car keys were nowhere in sight. Then she saw it. Through the window, Lily's car was pulling out of the driveway. "No," Cynthia whispered, her legs already carrying her toward the door before her mind could catch up. Lily had taken Summer. "Lily!" Cynthia screamed, but the car was already speeding down the road. Panic surged through Cynthia. Her heart raced as she threw herself into her own car, slamming the door behind her. The engine roared to life, her hands gripping the wheel with trembling fingers. She followed, desperate. She had to get to her daughter. She had to stop her. The world blurred around her. The only thing in her focus was the sight of Lily's car ahead of her. She was pulling away, taking Summer from her, taking what was rightfully hers. The distance between them shrank, and with it, Cynthia's grip on her sanity. She couldn't think, couldn't breathe. All she could do was follow, chasing the car that had her baby. The moment she saw the brake lights flicker, something snapped. Cynthia swerved, desperation flooding her veins. She didn't mean to. She couldn't think straight. But the next thing she knew, the world spun violently. Lily's car crashed. Cynthia stumbled out of her own vehicle, panic clawing at her throat, and ran down the embankment. She found Summer in the back seat, crying softly, unharmed, but still shaken. "I love you," Cynthia whispered, her voice trembling as she pulled the baby into her arms. She rocked her gently, murmuring how much she loved her. "I'm so sorry, baby. Mommy loves you so much." And as the police arrived, Cynthia tried to beg to keep her baby. She couldn't let her go, not when she just got her back. But they carefully took Summer out from her arms and placed Cynthia in the back of the squad car. Cynthia realized something a little too late. She had lost everything. Lily had already called them. The truth was already out. The baby wasn't hers. A year ago, she had become a surrogate for her best friend, and the idea of giving the baby to someone else when she was the mother. She was the one who carried Summer for 9 months. She was the one who felt every kick and hiccup. She was the one who deserved to be her mom. It was too much for her to bear. It was her baby. As they drove away with Summer, Cynthia was left in the wreckage of everything she had once known. The bond she thought was unbreakable had been broken, not by Lily, but by her own unraveling mind.